going on, guys? Welcome back to the range. So a number of you have been asking me to make instructional videos, which I don't do because I'm not really an instructor, but I did have some lights go off. I recently took a Christian Seiler class and he connected some dots for me that has kind of leveled up my recoil management. So I want to share them with you and you guys can laugh at how bad I am. So this can be a comedy video as well. As an added bonus, I have Christian Seiler, the current world champion in open division, arguably the best shooter alive. What his warm-up is every time he puts a pistol in his hand and is getting ready to go to the match. So you're gonna wanna stick around to the end to check that out. If you've seen my other videos on recoil management, there's the Shoot Like a Boss series that had a pretty good instruction, and then there was the recoil management video. That's a longer one. It's got a lot of other instructor sound bites kind of weighed in on it. I'd encourage you to check those out with kind of what's going on here, and I'll connect the dots because this one trick kind of fixed a lot of my dot tracking and it's making the gun not climb as much. And so I'm able to shoot faster as a result, because when you have a really good grip on a gun, you can shoot really fast, especially if you've got a nice trigger with a lot of control. It's a lot of fun. So I want you guys to have fun too, but this is not instruction. This is just me telling you what I'm doing. So first things first, you're gonna want to pay attention to your stance, because like you see dudes on the square range, they're sitting there and their feet are like right next to each other. Their shoulders are back. They're kind of leaning back. It's like pow, pow, just getting shoved around. First thing you have to do is fix that. You really do have to adopt a fighter's stance. And I took a couple classes, one with Charlie Perez, took that twice, and then Travis Tomasi. So there's gonna be varying different approaches to the footwork, but at the same time, I've got my feet wider than hip width. My left foot is biased forward. My right foot is biased back. My toes roughly in line with my heel, and I'm putting my weight over the ball of my foot on my front foot, so to speak. And this is good because it's very much kind of like a boxer's stance where you could throw a punch or take a punch. That's really the stance that you're gonna wanna have. Travis kind of mentioned the angle of the spine. You are kind of sticking your butt out and putting your shoulder, my shoulder is over my front knee when I do that. That is a good stance. And if you wanna have a buddy show you how important a stance is, take whatever your typical stance is and have them slowly move the slide all the way to the rear and bring it back forward. If you're getting pushed backwards by your buddy, moving the slide slowly to the rear, the ammo is going to be doing that to you as well. So one concept that Christian was really big on was the durability of the grip. And what that kind of means is that the last shot in a string of fire is going to have the same results as the first shot. It's very difficult to do if you're doing like a full mag dump to maintain kind of everything being locked in like that, but it is achievable, and that's kind of the goal you should be working for. All right, as far as gripping the gun is concerned, you're gonna wanna get as high as possible. Now, I flag my thumb up. You can see right there, my thumb is there, and if you've got a manual safety, the thumb has to sit on the manual safety. This is non-negotiable. You do not fold your thumb underneath it. I realize that the internet and everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's opinion is right. It works for me. No. Put your thumb on the manual safety if you have a manual safety, and if you don't have a manual safety, then you should be holding your thumb roughly in the same spot, and it's for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, if you look at the grip tang, which is stabilizing the gun, I am filling up on both sides of the grip tang the space around the grip. So that is going to stabilize the gun kind of moving off target like that. And so if you're shooting like to the left of the target, it's probably because your thumb is folded over. The other thing that it gives you is a nice big pocket, and this is going to become real important when you bring the support hand on. Now there's different approaches to how you do your wrist angle. There's examples of it working great for dudes like Bob Vogel, who's like super exaggerated, really, really high on the gun. But like 2011 style guns don't work that way, but Glocks and CZs do work really well with that. I have more of a neutral angle with how my support hand is landing on the gun. You can see that my thumb is sort of landing further in front of the slide stop. I don't particularly love thumb rests on non-open guns for this reason, because my thumb just lands so far forward. Kind of the magic, and what you're gonna wanna do is, hopefully you've been to the gym at one point or another in your life, or at least been forced to do a push-up by a middle school PE teacher. Think back to those days when you're pushing up and you're in the up position, you don't have your elbows locked out, but you do have them kind of at about 95% of that lockout when you're in the up position. Same thing when you're holding a barbell in the bench press. That is very much what both arms are going to be doing when you are getting a grip on the gun. You do not want your elbows locked. The next thing is you're gonna kind of roll your elbows up. Like now my elbows are pointing toward the ground, I'm gonna roll my elbows up. That's gonna do a couple things. When I roll my elbows up like that, it's engaging my lats and engaging some bigger muscles in the recoil management. It's also putting pressure in on the gun from each side. It's kind of creating a vise and putting side to side pressure on the gun through basically the base of my trigger finger. So that's another thing that is going to help stabilize the gun when it's going off rapidly in front of you. An example that Christian used in class was that if you're straightening a horseshoe, if you're holding a horseshoe, kind of like that, use your pretend horseshoe there, and you're trying to straighten it out. It's so hard, you're not gonna get it all the way straight, but you can unbend it just a little bit. That's kind of what we're doing here. The next thing is the wrist lock, and the wrist lock is basically easiest way to kind of force it if you don't know what it feels like. What it feels like is a band of tension on the back of each wrist. And the way I get wrist lock with my right hand is I'm kind of pulling through my bottom two fingers, the pinky and ring finger, and simultaneously kind of pushing through the base of my thumb right there. Not pushing through the pad of my thumb, but the base of my thumb. And it's forcing my wrist to lock out. Now, I'm not crushing this gun necessarily with my strong hand. It is a firm grip, and I have a lot of grip strength through shooting a lot of guns and lifting weights and all that crazy stuff. Grip strength does matter to an extent, but you don't have to have gobs and gobs of it. You do need to use what you have, however. So what feels relaxed for me may require somebody who has less grip strength is gonna feel like more. You can get these grip dynamometers on Amazon. I'm able to get over 165 pounds of grip force from my right hand and about 155 from my left hand. There is an absolute value on what grip strength can bring to the equation, but for me, it doesn't feel like I'm crushing the gun with my right hand, but I am crushing it with my left hand. And what I'm doing is I'm mashing my left hand right under the manual safety, absolutely mashing it. And I'm kind of rolling my thumb towards the target, like it feels like I'm pushing towards the target. And I used to use just a straight front to back squeeze, and this is the tip that Christian gave me that made the dot kind of settle in. So previously I would see my dot kind of lift from like, it wasn't going straight up and down, but it's going up to about 1 o'clock like this. And that's because I was using only a front to back squeeze. So I'm hooking my support hand on the knuckles of my strong hand, and I'm kind of clamping back into the grip and mashing it there. But the difference is that I'm actually putting a squeeze through the fingertips of my left hand now, and that's doing a couple things. Combined with all the other stuff that we talked about, when I actually put a good squeeze on that, it's mashing my support hand into the gun. So when the gun is trying to lift, it's making union with the base of my support hand thumb, and it's making the gun stay a lot flatter. I can feel the energy coming up my left arm when I'm shooting rapidly. And when I put that extra squeeze through the fingertips of my support hand, wouldn't you know it, the dot goes straight up and down. And that's allowing me to shoot faster because it's not coming down in different areas on the target. It's coming a lot closer to where it lifted from, which allows me to run a lot faster and rely on my grip a lot more. So let's talk about manipulating the trigger now. We're gonna go live. And so I've got my good grip. I've got a very mean press, and you notice my support hand thumb isn't even touching the frame. It's just floating off to the side, and that's fine. But I'm kind of pushing through the web of my hand onto that safety, and I have it kind of locked in there. The gun is straight up and down, and I don't have a ton of tension in my hand, so I'm able to manipulate the trigger pretty rapidly like this. So I'm able to pull the trigger really, really fast and largely keep it on target. I'm at about 15 yards. That's way more speed than is necessary for this target, just demonstrating it. But I can also get good pairs. That was both on target, and it's coming back to where I'm at. But it's really important that you use a very, very hard target focus, looking specifically at a point on the target, and that's gonna help your body return the gun to that point that you're focused on. That's kind of a mental aspect of this. You're not looking at the dot, you're looking really hard at the target, really focusing on trying to get that dot to come back to it, and your body will actually deliver on it. And it ends up just making it a lot more fun to shoot. Like, it's just, that's fantastic. So that's what my grip in 2025 is looking like. I'm looking forward to the competitive season. If you want actual real instruction, be sure and check out Charlie Perez at bigpandaperformance.com. He's fantastic. Travis Tomasi, you can Google search him. I don't know what his website is. He's a great instructor as well. Christian Seiler is a beast who's on a completely different level. And Christian has a very specific warm-up every time he touches a gun. He does it dry and he does it live, and this is what that looks like.
Grabbing our grip here, looking at the center of the target, grab our grip, we establish our left hand crush, right wrist lock, left wrist lock, everything looks good. Really focusing on these fingertips driving into the gun. No pressure change, I want it to be same at the start, same at the end. Good, sights are tracking up and down, no problems. Good. So the gun's tracking the way that I want it to. I'm not feeling any push with this at all because my left hand's doing the job. Left hand's not leaving me out to dry, that's perfect. Now, this is the biggest problem. There's a disconnect between building it here and then being able to draw to that grip. That's why it's so important in dry fire to set your grip, and then can I draw to this repeatedly? And can I draw to this and transition to targets and keep the same grip? So this is where most of the problems were earlier. So now I'm gonna draw the gun. Let's go no beat. Okay, hands in the right spot. Everything's set up. Felt a little bit of push there, slight disconnect, so it's good we're warming it up. Same thing. Super locked in with the left, that was good to go. That's tuned up, and now I know what I need to grab out of the draw, with my left hand especially. Good. Yeah, biggest thing for me always with that is just how much crush am I doing with this left hand into the right hand side of the gun. That's now locked in. Now I want to warm up my eyes, make sure that I'm driving my eyes to the center of all the targets. I also want to make sure that I'm getting the confirmation level that I need on it. I'm only pulling the trigger, my sights are telling me alpha. Center of the 1, center of 2, center of 1. I felt on that rep between 2 and 3, I was just grabbing brown because I already have holes in this target, super easy to pick a spot here. So I really need to look at 2 and 3. Look at the center, look at the center. Center, center, center. I'm not seeing anything else besides the center. I've set my acceptable zones in the center of the alpha. Center, center, center. Let's go right to left, center, center, center. That rep I was glad I did because I felt like I was navigating on GPS and driving at the same time. Let's set more navigation. More navigation. Now I'm just driving. Center, center, center. Center, center, center. Center, center, center. Okay. Gun behind, center, 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 center. Gun. Center, center, center. Center, center, center. Center, center, center. Center, center, center. Okay. Then live. I'm gonna do it from the draw, or from high ready, then I'll do it from the draw. Okay. That's good. Now from the draw. Good. Stopped a little early on that one. Pulled a little bit on the first one there. But yeah, eyes are leading. I'm pulling the trigger. My sights are telling me alpha. That's good. Now I'm going to go from body to the head to the body. Make sure the grip doesn't change. I'm not going to let the visual impulse affect how I grip the gun. Let's do that now. Ooh, bad grip. Okay. Overshot the sights there for sure. So I let that suck me into, attack this one, control attack. Got to shoot at sights pace. Let's do it right to left. Set the sights here, here, here. Okay. Okay. Body, head, body. Shoot at sights pace. Grip stays the same. Okay. Stopped a little early on that one. Let's do it one more time. That was perfect. Then I just want to make sure I'm not building any rush with me presenting the gun. So go here. Good. Feel like there's some rush, just warming up, trying to get the gun out there, but now I'm gonna hit the stage and be a lot more prepared. If you can just dry fire it, but if you can live fire it, like this is, now I'm ready to walk out of the first stage. There's gonna be no delay. You're ready to rip. There's gonna be no confirmation questions, no like what is my grip gonna produce on the sights. This is what you wanna do for your warm up here every single time.